Well, this is really to both of you. Given the nasty nature of the advertising and the debates and the campaign press releases, this is a very appropriate question. It's not mine. It came from a colleague of mine at ABC News. Let's see how you do. Would you please say something nice about your opponent?
I'm not sure we'll need a full 2 minutes on this, but Congressman
You may not
Murphy,
need 2 minutes.
you get to go first.
No, I absolutely will. You know, Linda McMahon is clearly a very driven person. She's someone, when she sets her mind to something, has shown that she can accomplish that. I'd also, note that she has, over the last several years, made some substantial investments in some Connecticut charities. I know that has done some good things for people, and I certainly give her credit on both of those accounts. You're right. That these campaigns do tend to get very personal, and I think people are sick and tired of it. I think people want these campaigns to be about the issue differences. And I think they're sick and tired of these campaigns being so personal because they then see it get extended over into governing. That they then watch Washington do nothing but fight while they, in their lives, are finding a way to get along. When times get tough, families find a way to get beyond their differences. Co-workers find a way to agree. And they don't see that in Washington today. That's why I've spent so much time on this issue of bipartisan cooperation. This group, the Center Aisle Caucus, I don't claim that it's changing the partisan culture by itself in Washington, but I decided to stop complaining about the personal politics, and I decided to try to do something about it. So I took over a group of Republicans and Democrats that gets together to try to talk about civility. We were the group, for instance, behind the two parties sitting next to each other during the State of the Union speech. I get it, it's not revolutionary, but it's time that we elected some people to Washington who were going to start working on bringing the two parties together down there. I'm proud of that work that I've done in the House of Representatives. I want to do more of it in the Senate, and I'm happy to admit that for all of our disagreements, there are certainly nice things that I can say.
Mrs. McMahon.
Well, I think one of the nicest things that I've seen about Congressman Murphy are his 2 little boys. They are so cute. And being a grandmother with 6 little grandchildren, and I look at them and I imagine the kind of pride that he has in watching them every day and wanting to have the best, for them. And so that's something I've noticed with Congressman Murphy and his little boys, and I congratulate him and his wife on having such a nice family. I'm sure that he would also like to make sure that the future for those little boys is going to be bright and that they're going to have the opportunities, even better opportunities that he's had or his parents before him and the next generation to come till we follow this whole gamut. And so that's why I am focusing so much in this race on what is wrong with our economy today. And I will keep going back to it because it is what is pulling down our middle class. That's why I want a tax cut for the middle class. I want to make sure that his little boys, my grandchildren, have the same kind of opportunities in America to succeed. That's what got me into this race to start with. I looked at the faces of my little grandchildren and I wondered if they were going to have the same opportunities that their grandfather and I had. When our debt was going out of control, when our deficit was increasing, when we were spending more than we were making, when jobs were falling by the wayside. And I looked at them and thought, I don't want that to be my legacy to them. I want my legacy to them to be that they have America's promise for opportunity, that they can try to be what they want to be, that they can take risks, and if they fail, they have an opportunity to get back. Their grandfather and I failed. At one point, we lost everything we had. We had to declare bankruptcy. We lost our car. We had to start over. But we were able to because of the opportunities that this country offered us. That is my mission and goal, is to make sure they have that same opportunity.
Congressman Murphy, you have another minute to say nice things.
Well, for the record, I think Linda McMahon said nice things about my little boys. No, I appreciate that. I appreciate that, Mrs. McMahon. We're really proud of them. And I don't take a lot of credit for how wonderful they are. I give most of it to my wife. And listen, I think, my reason for running is rooted in those same stories. I do often talk about my mother in this race and her ascent into the middle class from poverty. And I think, to say it in as dispassionate a way as possible, there's just a difference in terms of how Linda McMahon and I approach that solution to economic mobility. I just don't believe that you invest in those kids who want to become great by giving tax cuts to the wealthy. I think that you support education and job training. I think you support things like public housing and the programs that can make their families whole. I think maybe some of our rationales for running are similar. I just think we come out in very different places on how we effectuate that change.
All right. Mrs. McMahon, you have another minute to say warm and fuzzy things about Congressman Murphy, if you choose.
Don't push it too far. Congressman Murphy and I do have a different philosophy. His philosophy is one of bigger government and more government control. Mine is one of private sector investing. He continues to talk about my plan as a tax cut for the rich. It is not. It is a tax cut for the middle class. It is a tax. It is keeping the other brackets the same. I won't be affected. We will have money to invest in our education and all the other things in our country if we get our debt in line and get our economy back on track. That doesn't happen by magic. It doesn't happen by the regulations that are passed in Washington. It happens by encouraging our middle class and letting our job creators and our small businesses flourish. Our economy will then grow. We can then invest in all of the things that he's talking about. But as long as we stay so mired in debt, we are not going to come out of this recession that we've been in. We're just going to continue to plod along. We need change.